All right, everybody. It's a little dark, but we are live. Going to be reacting to the result that we've just witnessed here. Austria 0, England 1. The game being played in Middlesbrough. I'm just going to put something in the chat here. So yeah, just going to kind of go through my thoughts on the game and obviously how this is gonna relate going forward for the Euros and what this is kind of gonna generally speaking mean for the team. Obviously, we've got some pretty big stuff to touch on here. First of all, I just want to kind of react to the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury. Now, as far as I'm concerned, personally, I'm just going to put this here to give me a little more light. As far as, just generally speaking, as far as I'm concerned, the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury may actually be kind of a blessing in disguise. And what I mean by that is, obviously, we had kind of some controversy over the fact that Gareth Southgate did decide to bring in 4 right backs. Obviously, we know that somebody like Kyle Walker can play right centre back, right wing back. We know that Kieran Trippier can play left back, right back, could probably play a right centre back role as well. Reece James also, I think it would probably be fair to say that you would really assume that he's another guy who could potentially play the right wing back spot, the right centre back spot as well. So I think the reason why the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury may be a blessing in disguise is it can potentially give you the option of dipping in and bringing in potentially another midfielder, maybe another forward, or a central defender, a proper central defender, a real weakness for England. I'm just going to edit here, make sure we get kind of the right hashtags and everything within this one. Okay, England. Okay, let's see how that goes. Yeah, so I mean, first off, obviously, in terms of a reaction, what we do want to shoot for. Yeah, the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury. What's up to I know we've got some people in here, so what's up to everybody watching? Yeah, the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury. Yes, it's a shame for him. It really is. I actually had in my notes prior to the injury, I really don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold should start for England. I think that the way that Gareth Southgate wants to play and the dynamic and the style of the players that Trent would be playing with in England, we even talk about the fact that I think Gareth Southgate said at the beginning, like, "Hey, I feel really good about the fact that we got a comment here. Who do you think should go instead of him?" Honestly, I'd personally be pretty happy with another defender going. I personally, I have this idea of Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming off the bench to lock down a good offensive player who we might be playing. So I had that as an idea. But the big one for me, I think James Ward-Prowse should go to the Euros. I think it's an absolute travesty that James Ward-Prowse is not going, personally. I think that the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury will kind of be a blessing in disguise in that respect, because I do think that there are going to be some opportunities opening up potentially for other positions, and it kind of forces Gareth Southgate somewhat into a change that maybe he wasn't willing to make previously. Moving on to other areas, guys, let me know who do you think should go? Because it looks to me like that's potentially a hamstring or something has gone there, especially being a non-contact injury. We know how much of a red flag that is. I would say chances are Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was kind of 50-50 whether he was going to be in the squad or not, I would assume that he's probably not going to be in the squad. So you guys, let me know what you think. For me, I'll put it in the chat here. I think James Ward-Prowse is probably the man to take over from him. I think that we do have some good options in the fullback positions, and a lot of the fullbacks can play as the wider centre-back positions as well. I'm a big fan of Ben White, so it'd be nice to see him step up as well. So just moving on to a couple of notes that I have from the game, which I kind of wanted to touch on. I don't trust Jordan Pickford at all. I do not trust Jordan Pickford at all. And for me, I kind of understand, generally speaking, why people are keen for him to go, because obviously he's kind of been there and done it for England, and he has the trust of Gareth Southgate. And I do understand that. I really do. But for me, I would go on the basis of relationships, right? And what I mean by that is I would try as much as humanly possible to keep the relationships alive within the squad. So what I mean by that is you've got somebody like Dean Henderson, you've got somebody like Harry Maguire, hopefully if he's fit, and you've got somebody like Luke Shaw. Those three guys know each other very well. You have John Stones, you have Kyle Walker. Those guys know each other very, very well. I'm just saying, especially defensively, you need to have that confidence, composure in place within your teammates, not just of yourself as a player, but to have that relationship ongoing. Because right now, I don't trust Connor Cody. I really don't. I don't trust Ben Godfrey. I don't think he's good enough either. It's a real worry for me. I think goalkeeper is the weakest position for England, and I would say centre back is probably going to be the next weakest position for England. I've toyed with in the past the idea of you play Maguire, Walker, and Shaw as the three centre backs, and people go, well, what the hell? You're taking advantage of a better position group there. And when you have the ball, you can take that risk, push the wing backs way up, split those two centre backs. So you're almost playing one centre back and two full backs in Shaw and Walker, who can obviously tuck in, and the wing backs can drop when you're defending. Another couple of takeaways. Declan Rice. I don't know what you guys thought of his performance. I feel as though Declan Rice is a player you need to bring in for the big games. I feel like if England are going to try and actually beat an opposition team, what England will need to do is take a bit of a risk in midfield. Jude Bellingham for me starts. I would make sure that Mason Mount is in there as well. And then, you want to play somebody like Henderson, or for me, a James Ward-Prowse or somebody like that, or even a Phil Foden, and try and drop him in a little deeper. I think you do need to be a bit more offensive in that sense, because Declan Rice is very good at covering, kind of holding that back position there, just shuffling across as needs be. He's good in terms of trying to win the ball, especially in the air, provides a good threat from offensive and defensive corners. But in terms of a team that's just going to sit back, Declan Rice just kind of recycles play, and there's not a great deal to his game. I think that role can easily be fulfilled by somebody like Jude Bellingham, who I actually think at this point is probably a better fit for that kind of role in this England squad, giving more room to the more creative ball players that we do have. I don't know if anybody in chat has any kind of opinions on that. What else? I thought Bukayo Saka looked good. I don't think, for me, he looked good enough to start, but I think that he, for the rest of his career, is going to be a very, very important asset for this England squad, and obviously for Arsenal as well, of course. We saw his danger from kind of a wing position, a wing back position. Obviously, he got the goal. I mean, I'm not giving him too much credit for the goal. It was somewhat of a tap in. The angle was kind of tight, but it was an open goal. So I'm not going to give him too much credit when it does come to the goal itself. Jack Grealish has to start. There are very few players in the England setup that can really just create something out of nothing. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Harry Kane is somebody, for example, who I think is a terrific player. A top 3, top 5 striker in the world, no doubt about it. England's best player, probably not even close in that respect as well. But Harry Kane is not the type of person who can create something out of nothing. Kane is usually there to finish an opportunity, or to try and lay something off with some good combo play to create an opportunity. Not he's in a box, he's in a bind, and oh, he's done something and he's out of it and something's been created magically. Jack Grealish is that guy. Jack Grealish is that guy. And to me, I personally feel like, to a certain extent, I feel like the relationship with Jack Grealish from England fans is similar to the relationship that was with Jack Wilshere, funnily enough, because you've got this guy and the talent is very, very clearly there, but it's like, how do you make the most of it? How do you unleash it? I mean, if we ignore the fact that he's going to win us a lot of free kicks in some very, very dangerous areas, I think that Jack Grealish is the type of person who, before we know, I mean, Bukayo Saka's goal only happens because of Jack Grealish. He starts off the play, he makes that run, he draws two defenders in, causing, I believe, Sabitzer to make the mistake, which kind of acts as a through ball through to Bukayo Saka to score the goal. Jack Grealish has to start, has to be in the team. I feel really strongly about that. I'm just going to get to some comments here. Veton Hoti, I would play a back four, one CDM to take the ball from the defenders, Mount, Bellingham, then Rashford, Kane, and Sancho. I understand what you mean there. Who would be the player to take the ball? Who would be your CDM there? That would be my only question. Because I think the difficulty is going to be when you play a big team, when you come up against the Portugals and the Italys and the Germanys and the Spains, you know, are you going to still do that? Or are you going to try and do something a little bit different? Because from where I'm standing, if it's a game where England are by far the better team on paper and on the pitch, Declan Rice actually should not play. I think Bellingham should be that guy deep. I think he can do that role. It allows a Mount or a James Ward-Prowse or whoever, or a Foden even, to come in and play that midfield role. I know people might think, well, that's too aggressive. I think England have got to start being aggressive. I think England have to start understanding their place within the European football structure. And England's place in the European football structure, like it or lump it, everybody, is actually a top 3, top 4, top 5 kind of team. They're right up there, yeah, with the Spains, France's, Portugals. So I think England need to start taking the game that way. I do not want to see a kind of a double pivot system again. If we're seeing, like, you know, Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson playing together in a double pivot against a team that we're much better than, I feel like we'll either lose that game, draw that game, or win that game by a narrow margin. It's never going to be a case where we just prove to be the better team. Sammy Perez, Kane, Sancho, Grealish, Foden would be a problem. Hey, I agree with you. But Sammy, what I would say to you there, mate, is who are going to be your two, right? Because then there's a certain lack of balance as part of the squad. I wouldn't go too offensive in that sense of kind of a 3 and a 1. I feel like Grealish has to play. I do want Sancho to play. And obviously I do want Kane to play. I'm not so sure Phil Foden starting in one of the wider positions. Christian Miller, Alexander Arnold, if it fits, makes sense to me. I think Southgate is doing a bit of Liverpool model, having the wing-backs contributes to the attack. Yeah, I understand you. Trust me, Christian. I appreciate your comment. I think you're kind of new here to Box Football, so welcome. Do us a favor, hit subscribe, hit like. We appreciate you. I think it's going to be kind of fascinating to see what he decides to do now. I said this at the beginning of the video, so for those of you who've kind of just come in recently, I think the Trent Alexander-Arnold injury is a blessing in disguise in terms of Gareth Southgate's ability to make a decision. Now, I wouldn't wish an injury on anybody, but I do think that gives Gareth Southgate kind of the idea of, oh, well, we now only have 3 right backs. Trent Alexander-Arnold is injured. Who can we bring in? Is that going to be a James Ward-Prowse, and Ollie Watkins, somebody of that nature? Sammy, how did Alaba play today? Sammy, Alaba played well. I think the difficulty is he's very clearly the best player that Austria have, and definitely the best player that they've had for some time. Marcel Sabitzer offers quite a lot, and Baumgartner also offers a lot. But you know, Alaba is kind of, put in a position where he can't play his best football, but obviously he does need to kind of come in and really show of himself. So I think Alaba was okay, but Alaba was only as good as the other 10 Austrian teammates that he had against a strong England team in England. So he's good. I know you're thinking about that from a Real Madrid perspective, so I hear you. Rice and Mount in terms of a back two, I'm just not sure. I really do like Declan Rice. Really, I don't want that to get kind of twisted here at all. I think Declan Rice is a fantastic footballer, but I do not see enough from him in the role that he is playing to say that he should really keep playing in that formation and in that role. Now, if we come up against a tough side where maybe we're not going to have the ball and we need somebody to break up play and be a bit more conservative, I'm okay with that. But coming up against a team like Austria, coming up a team like Scotland, who are going to be coming up against at some point in the tournament, maybe you want him for the physicality. But as far as I'm concerned, Bellingham at this point in time is England's best midfielder. And I think that Bellingham and Rice definitely have to be the two. And obviously it's just finding out who that third guy should be. For me, call me crazy, it's James Ward-Prowse. If Jordan Henderson is fit, maybe play him. But as far as I'm concerned, I think James Ward-Prowse not only is the best dead ball delivery, I would say, in Europe and potentially the world. Call me crazy, but James Ward-Prowse does something to that football when he's delivering it. I don't know what to tell you. James Ward-Prowse is special delivering that football. Neat and tidy, good worker, very good work rate, and very technically gifted as well. Can definitely maintain the ball. We saw some of his runs. He runs beyond the defensive line every now and again, which is obviously huge. I'm a big James Ward-Prowse fan. I don't know what else to tell you. Luca, I'm going to butcher your pronunciation, my friend. I'm very sorry about this. Luca Quatamazzi, we need to buy Kavica Kvarzetla, one of the best, most talented right wingers. Dude, I'm sorry. I do not know who that is. I don't know if that's a typo or not. I have not heard of that. I've not heard of that player. I'm sorry about that. One of the best left wingers. Okay. I guess you're talking about maybe Real Madrid, maybe. Anyway, Christian Miller, thanks, subbed. Hey man, appreciate you. Obviously, any questions or comments, let us know. We can really kind of start a conversation here. So moving on to kind of the centre backs scenario, I kind of touched on this a little earlier. I really do not trust Connor Cody. I don't think Connor Cody is good enough. Leeds want to buy him for 25 million. Dude, have you spelt that right, Luca? I don't know if you've spelt that right. That is one of the craziest names. That's like a Borussia Dortmund 2012 kind of name. Oh my God, you're right. Georgian footballer, plays for Rubin Kazan, years old. Hey, I apologize. I apologize. You were absolutely right. Good for you. Okay, I've not seen him play. I will look him up. All right. Okay, that's cool. I appreciate that, Luca. One of the most talented right wingers. So you've seen him play then, I guess. You've seen him play, right? But yeah, defensively, there's an issue for England, okay? And the issue is that I don't think that the communication is there. The relationship is not there. The reason why I would personally go with Dean Henderson in goal, I would personally have Maguire and Luke Shaw and Walker and Stones and then maybe just add in a Reece James or a Kieran Trippier, is because then you have 4, 5, maybe up to 6 guys who really know one another and really know one another well. I think a lot of the issues we see from England defensively is not having complete faith in your compatriot to be able to kind of do the right thing in that defensive scenario. It's very, very scary to me that somebody like a Connor Cody would be there in that position. And Tyrone Mings as well, to me, people can say they like him. I think he's a walking error. I've got to be honest with you. I really do not believe that he's going to be the guy who's going to help bring England a European championship. I hope he really doesn't see minutes unless obviously it's due to an injury. And even then, I would take Ben White over Connor Cody and Tyrone Mings personally. Leeds want to buy him for 25 million. He destroyed Spain and Greece's right side. Hey man, if you're a Leeds fan, I'll keep an eye out. I'll probably watch the guy, get some history of him, and see some of his stat sheets over his career, and we'll take a look. That's very cool. Thanks for pointing him out. Going forward, I don't know what you guys think. Anybody in the chat? What did you make of England going forward? Please let me know. Like I say, I really do like engaging with folks where I can in the chat. So if you drop a message in there, let me know what you thought of England's performance going forward. For me personally, I think you need to give Jack Grealish as many touches of the ball as you can. I think he's really that kind of special talent. Kane does look a little lost at times. And I think I can't remember whether it was Ian Wright or Eni Aluko or even if it was Roy Keane. England do need runners beyond the attacking positions. Even somebody like a James Ward-Prowse, I'm going to keep bringing him up until I'm going to kind of will it into being. But a midfielder running beyond the forward opens up so much more space. It's also why I'm much more in favour of somebody like a Jadon Sancho. Yeah, of course, Jadon Sancho can come to the ball and Jadon Sancho can, play nice, tidy football where you make the smart decision and play it back to your fullback or play it to your central midfielder. But one thing I think we know that Jadon Sancho is going to do, Jadon Sancho is going to run at you. Jadon Sancho is going to attack you. It's the same with somebody like a Marcus Rashford. Now, I don't think that Marcus Rashford is really good enough to start with the other options that England have. But Marcus Rashford is another guy who's going to run at you. We even saw from Bukayo Saka. Now, for me, Bukayo Saka, potentially lucky to be in this England team, but I think he's a fantastically versatile utility type player. We know that guy can do a job anywhere on the field. We saw a couple of occasions where Bukayo Saka just ran at his fullback. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be the most talented fullback in the world playing for Austria, but we saw what he was capable of doing. And there's not enough of that from England. It's always kind of neat and tidy footwork type football. It's why personally I am against Phil Foden starting in a wide position. I think it's a huge waste. I think that Phil Foden needs to be more central, playing kind of a midfield role, and then he can move forward from there. Christian Miller. I'm concerned England don't have enough in terms of goal contributions, talented players, but not as many informed, prolific scorers outside of Kane. I agree we need players like Sancho to contribute goals and assists. Yeah, Christian, you're absolutely right. You're kind of reading my mind here, actually, my friend. Jadon Sancho is a double-digit goal and assist guy every single domestic season, whether that's at Borussia Dortmund or wherever he moves to this summer. That guy's going to get double-digit goals and double-digit assists. And as far as I'm concerned, look, I like Raheem Sterling, but Raheem Sterling hasn't been particularly good this year. I don't know what you guys think. He played a part of a really great team, but I don't know if Raheem Sterling was so fantastic this year. I can think of a bunch of Man City players who I would say were better than Raheem Sterling so far this year. And I would much sooner start somebody like a Jadon Sancho, a Marcus Rashford, a Jack Grealish. Kane, we know, cannot be shifted. It's a World Cup Golden Boot winner, top Premier League goal scorer, top assister in the Premier League as well. Kane, we know, isn't going anywhere. It's those two guys on the outside. And Gareth Southgate has to be careful. Because if the wing backs push up, and I wish I was better with these streams because I could maybe bring up a board and show you. But if those wing backs push up, I totally understand personally the wingers kind of coming in, right, and filling that space so that the centre backs can kind of pull up. You have that back three to play around the midfielders to kind of help progress the ball forward. Then the wingers can kind of come a little more inverted, play around the box a little bit, maybe with one of the other midfielders. Fullbacks offer the depth, then I would totally be able to understand, a Foden or a Sterling or somebody like that, a better player on the ball. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if we can be dangerous enough behind the defence with that kind of a system. I do think we need to be in a position where maybe we do just play a back four and we do just allow our guys to attack the opposition. That's kind of my main takeaway from this game. And I think the frustration as an England fan base, and I don't know if anybody watching agrees with me here, let me know in the comments, but I think the frustration for England is we've never felt like a great team over recent years. We can say like there was that era where we had Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, like we had this crazy, crazy team, right? All these forwards. But I don't know if you ever entered a tournament thinking that you were confident. And I think it's because of the style of play. We were always very conservative. We're kind of back at that point now. England do have a top 5 squad heading into the Euros. And really the minimum expectation should be from this England squad, the semi-finals. if you look at the caliber of players that we have across the board, it's incredibly impressive. Squad depth, the whole 9 yards. But we don't attack teams enough. It's always a little too conservative. And that's why I think we do need more offensive players on the pitch, especially if we're playing teams who we just are better than. I'm not looking to be into kind of a nail biter against a team who we're not as good at. I'd much sooner be in a position where, hey, okay, we've taken a couple of risks, but we're 2 goals up, right? Maybe we concede a chance or two, but we're 2 goals up. As opposed to we only have 1 chance, we miss it, and it's still 0-0, right? But we've kept the majority of the ball. That, I think, is my frustration. Any questions from you guys? I'm just going to pull up my notes here. I'm going to take away my light for a second. I'm just going to pull up a couple of my other notes. What else have we got here? Kieran Trippier. I'm big on Kieran Trippier now. I know that a lot of people maybe haven't seen him play as much because he was at Atletico Madrid, but I'm big on Kieran Trippier now. He's got a lot of passion. I really, really like it. He seems to be ready, hungry, fighting, and the mentality shift, and no disrespect Tottenham fans, but the mentality shift of playing at a team like Tottenham and then going to a team with Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid and winning La Liga, I think Kieran Trippier is a totally different guy now. And I know that there are rumours about clubs wanting him to come back to the Premier League this summer, and we'll see what happens there. But I think that Kieran Trippier does have to play. Reece James is certainly somebody who's won me over the last 6 months or so. I wasn't quite convinced, but as of right now, I'm all over Reece James. I'm all over Kieran Trippier. It's why I'm starting to think we just need to kind of try and put these fullbacks into the team where we can. Luke Shaw, Chilwell, okay. I know that Man United fans will tell me that Luke Shaw has been amazing. I think that Luke Shaw, generally speaking, has just been fit, right? And he's been okay. Created a lot of chances, right, as he should in a team like Manchester United. But I don't think Luke Shaw has knocked anybody's socks off. I'd almost be willing to play somebody like a Bukayo Saka or a Kieran Trippier in that left wing-back spot, and then maybe even play Luke Shaw as a left-sided centre-back of a 3 next to Maguire, next to Stones, and then have Walker play a proper out-and-out right wing-back position. I mean, I'm not sure. I just think that there needs to be that kind of... They need to know one another. You know what I mean? You need to have that 6th sense of playing with one another. We've seen a lot of the great international teams, there's collectives, right? When Spain were good, it's basically half the Barcelona team and half the Real Madrid team, and they all just know each other so well. They know each other as opponents. They know each other as teammates. The rivalries that were formed there, and also the friendships that were formed there. That's a Euro, a World Cup, and a Euro. The Germany teams that have had success over the years, we all know that that's basically Bayern Munich with kind of a little sprinkling of Borussia Dortmund and, maybe Bayer Leverkusen or Leipzig, right, over recent years anyway. I think that we need to start seeing something of that nature at England now, because as far as I'm concerned, I know that maybe tonight's starting 11 isn't going to be strictly reflective of that game we play against Croatia, but I see a guy for Everton. I see a guy for Wolves. I see a guy for Villa. I see a guy for Atletico Madrid. I see a guy for Liverpool. I don't know what kind of connection or cohesion is going to be there from a backline. Whereas for me, Dean Henderson, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, all Manchester United players. Kyle Walker, John Stones, Man City players. That should really be your kind of back 4, back 5, maybe add a wing back in there as well. I put a lot of weight in that. I put a lot of weight and a lot of value in that personally. The reason why I think Ollie Watkins should go, I think that if Jack Grealish is potentially our X factor, apart from Harry Kane, I think that if Jack Grealish is our X factor, why not have Jack Grealish's mate Ollie Watkins, who's been brilliant this year, be a part of the squad, especially over somebody like Calvert-Lewin. I really like Calvert-Lewin. I think he has fantastic upside. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. I just put more weight in those relationships. You guys, let me know what you think. I'm just going to check the comments section here, see what we got. Stu Mac or Stu MC. I'm sorry, maybe my pronunciation's off here. Simeone has schooled him. It's always about improving character and composure. Dude, absolutely spot on. And I love me some Diego Simeone, trust me. And you know, Kieran Trippier looks like a completely different guy, proper leader too. You can see he's really grown into himself. England have never been cohesive, mostly stupid leadership. Why on earth they never appointed Clough is shameful, barring 66, of course, lol. Yeah, I mean, trust me, 66 is obviously the crowning achievement for those of us who were around to see it. I, unfortunately, was not alive to see that one. But yeah, you're absolutely spot on. I was actually speaking with James. Anybody watching who kind of knows box-to-box football and knows the channel, please hit subscribe as well if you want to help support the channel, and hit like as well. That would mean a lot. You know, I've always wanted Jose Mourinho or Arsene Wenger. Now, I was younger, right? It's when Arsene Wenger was still at Arsenal, and Jose Mourinho was killing it, you know, kind of across Europe and all this kind of stuff. But for me, we've always lacked that guy with a little bit of character. And I think Gareth Southgate, there is an edge to him and there's a steeliness to him, which is why I think the fans have warmed to him quite a lot, because, you know, Gareth Southgate is the guy we remember for missing that penalty, right? Wearing that awful greyish blue England kit. That's what Gareth Southgate is known for. We've known him in club terms as not a great manager, right? But he comes in, he kind of totally refreshes everything. We've had some drab years with the likes of Roy Hodgson and such the like. But he's come in, he's done something a little different. I do wonder if after this Euros period and after the next World Cup as well, if a change is in the offing. And I think there's actually a chance Gareth Southgate may have even said that himself. And we need to be careful about the next person that we bring in. Because as far as I'm concerned, we could really kind of fall off a cliff here. Gareth Southgate has done well, but I think that we need to see at least a final or another semi-final, I guess, coming forward, or else we're going to be in trouble. Guys, thank you for watching. Any other questions? You know, drop them in the comments section here. And then we'll kind of go from there. I really got through all my points pretty quickly. It's incredible that with just half an hour to myself, I can just rattle off all my stuff. You know, Sammy, no top managers want the England job. Hey, I agree with you. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think that it's always going to be a huge risk, you know, because you could be remembered in a way that you don't really wish to be remembered if you take that England job. So I don't know who it would be. I don't know who the odds are. You know what I'll do? Just before I kind of finish up here, I'm going to check the odds on the next England manager, and we'll just kind of go from there. I'm gonna guess it's like Eddie Howe's up there, maybe. So we've got Sean Dyche. Is 5-1 with Paddy Power. Dean Smith is 5-1 with Paddy Power. And then it's Gerrard, Graham Potter, Eddie Boothroyd, Brendan Rodgers, Frank Lampard, Eddie Howe, so on and so forth. So there's no real standouts at this point in terms of who the next guy is going to be. And you know what? Maybe it will be somewhat internal. Maybe it will be somebody from the kind of lower positions who knows that kind of England DNA, which is starting to be adopted. Guys, any other kind of questions or comments, please drop them in the chat. I'm going to probably sign off very, very shortly after kind of watching that game and trying to absorb what's happened and how hopeful or not I'm feeling about England's prospects for the Euros. But yeah, I'll give you a few seconds here if you did have any comments or questions. But failing that, I'll probably sign off. Just going to check if I've missed anything here on my notes. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of love for James Ward-Prowse. A lot of love for James Ward-Prowse. No faith in the defence or the goalkeeping department. And I think we play a little too conservative in midfield by putting Declan Rice in there. Grealish has to play. I'd like to see Sancho play. And as we get closer and closer to the Euros, James and I will be putting way more content out there. What I would do, starting 11s, and obviously a lot of reaction, lots of lives as well. So if you guys like the live reactions and the Q&A and engaging with chat, then you can look forward to a lot more of those. Conte to Spurs, Sammy wants to talk about. Okay, we'll dip into that for a little bit, and we'll kind of move from there. So, Sammy, first of all, what do you think, mate? What do you reckon? I think that it has the potential to be an absolute car crash. And what I mean by that is, Antonio Conte has just come from an unbelievable achievement in Serie A. Fabio Paratici will probably come in as his director of football as well, right? As far as I'm concerned, Antonio Conte and Daniel Levy working together is not a good recipe at all going forward for Spurs fans. So Spurs fans, if that does happen, I think, I'm not going to blame you if you're excited. I mean, hell, if Antonio Conte came to Roma, I would be absolutely buzzing. But you have to understand that is a passionate man who knows what he wants, who isn't afraid of quitting or leaving a job, does not care about being fired. And I think that when you're working for a guy like Daniel Levy in a position that Tottenham are in, with potentially Harry Kane wishing to leave, there's a serious issue there, and that could be, by October, November, we could see Antonio Conte being fired by Spurs. Spurs have got to get the next one right. This is, let me make this perfectly clear. This is the biggest summer of Daniel Levy's kind of career at Spurs at the moment in terms of being a chairman. It really is. I cannot state that enough. Sammy, gutted we got Carlo. Okay, who did you want? Who did you want, Sammy? Did you want Conte? I mean, who did you fancy? Sammy, 3-5-2, Mora into the best wing back ever. Like, honestly, I can't deny it. Even somebody like Steven Bergwijn, I think that these are all guys, especially with somebody like Højbjerg. I should have gotten myself a glass of water. I'm talking too much here, and I'm sweating too. This isn't a good look for me. Bergwijn, Mora. I think they have some great options at wing back. Kane saying is obviously huge. Højbjerg will be solid, and Ndombele. It'll be interesting to see what he does with Tanguy Ndombele as well. But I don't feel like it's set in stone. I think Conte's going to want his money. For my money, I need to stop saying money. Conte's the best manager in the world right now, for my money. I know that obviously we're going to have people saying it's Pep, or people saying it's Klopp, or whatever. For my money right now, Antonio Conte is the best manager in the world. And I think that with that, you take the risk of this is a guy that's going to want to be paid like he's the best manager in the world. He's going to want to be able to spend money because, if you say, hey, we're not going to let you spend money, Conte is the type of guy who will turn around, look at you and go, but I'm going to win. I'm Antonio Conte. I'm the best manager in the world. Did you see what I did last year at Inter Milan? I'm going to win. And then Daniel Levy, he may have to kind of take a step back here, which is, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he's going to do it. I think that Daniel Levy's best bet is to bring somebody in and try and do that Mauricio Pochettino approach again, whether that's a Graham Potter, an Eddie Howe, somebody who he can kind of be a bit more dominant over, Yeah, Sammy, I hear you, but I think that we need to appreciate what he did in Serie A this year. He to knock Juve off their perch is one hell of an achievement, and we have to give him credit. We have to give him credit for that. Sammy, you cannot sit in the comment section right now and tell me that if Conte was still at Inter for next season, that Inter Milan would not be a huge threat later in the competition. I'm just putting that out there. Man, I should have got myself more water. I've messed up here. Guys, I think I'm going to call it there. We've been on for about 39-40 minutes here. Obviously, it's been great, especially some new faces in the chat. That's been really, really nice to see. Please drop a like. Please subscribe. James and I are going to be coming at you with a lot of stuff over the next few weeks, obviously heading into the Euros. Your interactions and your comments are always appreciated. We try to reply to every single comment that we can. Obviously, James and I, we like to give our opinion. We're not always right. And obviously, we do like to kind of laugh at ourselves, make fun of ourselves when we are wrong. So, Sammy, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Stu Mack, great to see you. Christian Miller, fantastic to have you involved. And Luca Quatamadzi, I'm going to keep an eye on this. Kavicha Kabarateshela, I guess is the pronunciation of that name, who's at Rubin Kazan, is one of the most talented wingers. I'm going to take a look at him right now, and I'm going to see if maybe that's somebody I can kind of buy stocks in, because I think he said, what did he say? He's going to Leeds for 25 million. Is that it? Leeds want to buy him for 25 million. And a team like Rubin Kazan, you'd imagine at some point they're going to accept that, right? So I think that's very cool. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure that James and I will try and go live a few more times here and there, and expect content coming over the next few days and weeks as we head into the Euros. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye, folks.